Hello, everyone. My name is Deborah Kapoor, and I am going to be your painting instructor this quarter. Just wanted to take a minute to welcome you and say thanks for hanging in there with me. These are unusual times, and we're going to be figuring out a lot of things along the way together. The first thing I wanted to let you know is that we're going to be having, instead of live Zoom meetings where we would be synchronizing the timing, due to the virus, people's schedules have changed somewhat and they may not be able to log in at the same time we had originally scheduled. So we're going to do what's called asynchronized recordings. And basically that means I'm going to make a recording like this one and I'll send you a link, or it'll be embedded into the canvas and you can just click on it at your own leisure and listen to it when you have time to do so at home, since we're trying to abide by the governor's stay-at-home orders and keep everybody safe. One thing you should also keep in mind is that I've organized the structure of the class to be through modules. That is where you should be looking, whether you're on your laptop, a tablet, your computer, or your phone. Modules is really the main word you're going to be looking for. If you are on a laptop, it's going to take you immediately to your home page of your course. And then from there, you'll look for the 3 bars in the top left and click on modules from there. If you're on a phone, I'm pretty sure it navigates you straight into where you have an option for modules. So I'm going to release 2 weeks of course information at a time. And that way we'll try not to overwhelm everybody, and I'm going to give you plenty of time to accomplish things each 2 weeks, so not to worry there. We're going to go kind of slow to get started so everybody gets their work situation figured out at home, like if they're having a little table set up or where they plan to do their work. So, you know, it's a whole new environment that we're all getting used to, and if you have any questions, of course, about any of that, please let me know. I'm also going to be sending you a little survey to ask you about office hours and when might be a good time for you, because what I would like to do is host maybe a couple of different time slots, maybe one during the day and one during the evening, where people could hop online and I'll just be there with an open Zoom link invitation to you, that you could hop on and ask me a question if you needed to during that time. Also, you could always set up a one-on-one Zoom meeting with me. If you had something you really wanted to talk face-to-face about, I'm happy to schedule that and host a meeting to you. I'm pretty sure you don't need a Zoom account to take the class. It's just clicking on the link and it will take you where you need to. But if that turns out to be something different, then we'll figure it out as we go. Other things, I made a list. I think that's everything on my list. The next thing I wanted to share with you is that instead of doing live critiques like we would do in a regular classroom environment, we're going to do what's called threaded discussions, and they will be graded. But I will give you directions on how to do that in Canvas as we move toward that. There'll be one midterm critique and one at the final. And you'll be asked to comment on 2 other people's work. And Canvas will notify me that you've done that. And I can go then and look at your comments and review it that way. And as far as feedback on your individual works, Canvas has an option where I can give you a video response to what you've uploaded files to me to share with me in Canvas. And I will be able to send back those comments in a video to you about what you've done. So I'm learning a lot too. Please be patient with me. I'm sure I'm going to make some mistakes, but we'll figure it out. And it's really kind of a fun challenge, and I think we can all rise to the occasion to keep each other safe. The last thing I wanted to do was to share these supplies, and I am going to be going off the list that you got in your kits. If you haven't gotten your kit for some reason and haven't been in touch with me, please get in touch with me so I know, where you're at. But I just wanted to sort of go over the supplies that are in our kits, and I'm just going to go right down the list. The first one, and they listed them kind of strangely. I'm not sure why in this order, but just for everyone's keeping on the same page, literally, I'm going to go through their list. And the first one is Golden Brand Paint Manganese Blue, which looks like this. It's a beautiful blue. And you'll notice in your kit that I've given you 2 different kinds of blues because they, in color mixing, make completely different colors, and that's why you need 2. The reason our kits cost what they do is really because of the paint, and we're using Golden Brand because it's a very good paint, and it allows us to be able to do our assignments in the best possible way. So the next item is a palette knife, and if you've never painted before, it looks like this, and it's kind of flexible. And so when you're using this tool to mix paint, you're just kind of bearing down like this and sliding the paint around. And I'll be demonstrating these things more later. But we're just kind of like quickly reviewing the supplies now to make sure you have everything you need in your kits. The next thing is the brushes. I discovered these brushes by Zen Company, and they're really high quality brushes. Brushes can be a fortune. You could spend what you spent on your entire kit on one single brush. You could spend more than that on one single brush, believe it or not, but these are incredibly high quality for not that big of a price. And the first one is a flat number 4, and you'll see right here that there's that little number 4. That's just telling us what size the brush is. And this shape is literally a flat shape, like from the side, it's kind of skinny. One thing I want to note right away is that when you're using your brushes and after you're finished painting with them, you're going to want to rinse them in cold water. They don't really need soap unless it's maybe a color like red. You might want to use a little soap for that because sometimes that can stain a brush a little bit more. But once you've got the paint all out of there, you want to groom your brush by just simply gliding your fingers on top of it back into its original shape so that it doesn't get distorted in any way, and it keeps your brush able to be used for a long period of time because you've taken good care of it, like your clothes or whatever, your furniture. You take care of it. So that's the number 4. The smaller the number, the smaller the brush. So that's easy. The next one is a Filbert number 1, which again, you can see that little number right there. Hopefully that's not reflecting too badly. But a filbert is slightly different than a flat in that it has rounder edges on the side. It's kind of hard to see on this one because it's smaller. But it's good for blending and making things look softer. That's what a filbert is for. The next one is a Zen brush Bright number 2. And the difference between a bright and a flat is just that it's smaller. Just a little bit shorter. I shouldn't say smaller, it's shorter. The bristles are shorter. And sometimes you might want to make kind of more of a stabbing, stiff motion. And that's what these are nice for, like a little staccato kind of effect to it. And the next brush is a round number 2. These are called round brushes because if you look at them, at the end, it literally is coming to a round point, and that's what the word round is referring to. When you first use the brushes, there's a little bit of starch in them to process the brushes when they make them. So you're going to kind of want to break that starch out of there. You can also just dip it in water and move the brush around and that starch will come out. But again, after you've used the brush, you want to groom it back into its shape. And these things are nice if you can keep track of them to keep it where nothing disrupts the bristles and keeps it really nice. And then the last brush until later is the round number 6. So you can just see that it's bigger. I'll take that lid off. But it's just a fatter brush. And again, comes to a point at the end. So that's some of our brushes. The next thing they talk about on your list is the Midtown bag, a 14 by 21 inch in black. which is this guy right here. I'm really pleased with this portfolio. Last quarter, we had some that were a lot flimsier, and I think this is going to be a nice thing to protect your supplies and put everything inside of. It's got kind of like a spongy texture to it, and I think it might be a little bit waterproof. Then the next thing is the 11 by 14 canvas. We'll probably do our final painting on this, which is the thicker panel that you can see has been mounted on stretcher bars and has staples that go over the edges and the back side. So that'll be for our final project. We also have disposable palette. This is what you're going to use to mix your paints on. It comes in a tablet version, which is kind of nice because they're disposable that way. And you'll be literally using your palette knife to mix the paint like this on here. Again, we're going to talk about that more later. Your artist tape. One project in particular, we're going to be doing some hard edges, and we'll be putting down tape to create those hard lines. But it's called artist tape. It's a little bit different than masking tape because it's not quite as sticky and it's not as hard to come off the edges. And it looks like that. Just peels off. It's easy to remove. And we're also going to be using something called a Yupo pad, which is this guy. And it has a tablet version of pages that look like this. They're a slick kind of paper, and it makes beautiful marks on it. So we have 3 different substrates. We have the Canvas Panel 5-pack, which I didn't mention yet. These are skinnier and they're hard. Each one is a little bit of a harder surface compared to the springiness of a canvas. Let me see if I can pull this guy out. So you can see that it's harder than the bounce that is in a canvas that looks like this. They have a little bit different feel to them versus the paper. And I wanted to give you options for doing different kinds of paintings on different substrates. And then we move back into the paints. So it's just looking at the different colors. We've got the cadmium yellow, the different blue that I mentioned to you, the ultramarine. Again, there's another kind of yellow, a second yellow. This is called yellow ochre because it mixes a different kind of paint color than this yellow will mix. And you really do need the different colors to achieve the mixes. This is a burnt sienna. The carbon black, which is a beautiful, rich black. Titanium white. Everybody needs some white paint. Good color mixing. Cadmium red, one of our primary colors, as well as raw umber. And the last 2 items on your list are the number 10 filbert, which again, the filbert is the one that has a little bit rounder edges, and the larger number means a bigger brush. And then we have a number 12 bright. You can also use this for a wash brush by mixing and diluting your paint to a thinner consistency, and it makes a beautiful mark called a wash, which again, we'll get more into when we get to the assignments. I would go ahead and keep your paints in this box that it comes in and keep everything in the portfolio, and that way you can keep track of things. And on the back of your canvases, as you finish things, I would put your name on there in pencil and the date so that you have things ready when it comes time for turning things in. Be careful on the canvas that you don't poke into this, because if you poke into it with your fingers or if you grab it by the middle, it can leave a mark and make your canvas page look uneven. And there's ways of fixing it, but it's easier to just not mess with the surface in that way to begin with. So I just wanted to welcome you. Classes begin officially on Monday, April 13th. If you ever need to reach me, you know how, through Canvas and your email. And I'm just looking forward to meeting each of you digitally and working with you to create some beautiful art. So thanks for your attention, and I'll talk to you more next week. Take care.